Hey everyone, here today to just do a really brief overview of my new sound library, Spectral Jets. So this is a fairly small library as reflected with pricing and such. But I had an interesting opportunity while I've been working from home. The U.S. Air Force did an air show, and it happens that I live about a mile away from that particular small airport. So I set up some mics, and I was able to get some pretty interesting recordings of some F-16s and a few other things as well. So the first thing, of course, you can see here, I already have it open on my screen. These are the raw recordings of the Thunderbird. So you can see there's the, effects name. You can see how everything is labeled, keywords, and then of course microphone, full metadata, just like anything else. And these are using the universal category system as well. It's going to be the standard going forward for anything new and my updates. So I have a couple of different categories of sound here within. So I have some more distant sounds, and I have some more powerful sounds where the jets kind of were basically flying directly over my my house here. And then I have some kind of some distant, kind of more airy, and then some that are kind of more boomy. And then I set up I had two different mic setups. So I had my mic number one is I believe that's the MKH 8050, and then mic two is my PCM D100. So had them set up in different spots so to kind of capture as much as I could. So I won't go through all these, as again, you can listen to the previews and kind of get a sense of what this library sounds like. But show a couple of my favorite ones. Let's see. This one right here, this take is particularly interesting. And then, so this is the PCM D100. Some of the stuff with this sounded just a slight bit more distant. All right. And then with the MKH 8050, I had this plugged into my MixPre 6.2. So I was able to take advantage of 32-bit recording, get some kind of, not have to worry as much about checking levels and trying to set that up. So here's a couple of those. All right, some of the more distant, kind of airier stuff here. Some of the boomier stuff. All right, cool. So the other thing here to take note of is you see that I have kind of what would appear to be a duplicate of each file. I did this for my own personal convenience, but I mean, if you want to, you can keep these or not keep them. But sometimes with these sort of things where I know I'm going to kind of use these as whoosh base layers, as making whooshes or for sound design, I like to go ahead and I have the kind of what I'll say is the more original one here. So you can see with these, there's more of some, there's tail, and then there's a little bit more of a top portion to the file where it kind of like the meat of it is over here. So I went ahead and made an edit to where it cuts out a little bit more of the top and tail of some of these files, just for convenience. Like if you wanted to throw these into Radium or into a sampler, you probably wouldn't want all that top and tail information. So just for my own convenience and for your added convenience, if you desire it, those are also included. Those are the ISO tracks, all right? And of course, we have the different designed stuff. So I should probably start with the spectral entanglement. So these files here, what I'm calling spectral entangled designs, it's a fairly I would say light as far as effects processing. But what I focused on a lot was I took a couple of different kind of strange or just interesting props that I recorded that had some cool textures. So there's like a coffee maker, a torch, even a typewriter, some of the mechanics of a typewriter, and then a few other things as well. And I imparted characteristics of those jet whooshes onto each of these props, which is kind of putting it simply. I spent a lot of time doing this, a lot of time refining it, but I also I did it in such a way where I was combining the jet for this one, for example, I combined the original jet layer with a Euler disk. Then I combined that combined layer with the zip line, and then I combined the zip line. I combined everything as a whole in with different settings and different tools to kind of impart and kind of share characteristics of different frequency bands. So it's a strange thing to kind of talk about, but cool process with the intended purpose of I wanted to kind of generate some textures, some things that I can use in more of a broad sense for future sound design, in a way that they sound pretty organic. It doesn't sound like something that's been, it doesn't have like a ton of any kind of particular noticeable processing effect on there. So it can be used kind of as a raw texture, but also it's sort of something that's it's not real, So hopefully that makes sense. But in any case, you have 3 layers for each one, and then you have a combined, mixed down version of these 3 layers. So let's start with this one. So this one's kind of interesting. So this is a combination of a coffee maker, a torch, and then a typewriter. So again, all the characteristics of the jet and these 3 props kind of combined together. So here is I won't play the jet layer, but here's just the typewriter. All right, here's the torch. The coffee maker is pretty cool in this one. I'll play the torch as well. So there with the torch, you can definitely hear how everything is kind of generally following the whoosh or the pass by of the jet. But with that one, you could really hear the coffee maker and the typewriter kind of imparting some characteristics on that. How I landed on these things was purely just by, there was no, I wasn't thinking to grab a coffee maker and a typewriter and so on. I just was going through some of my backlog of recordings and pulling out interesting textures. And these are the 2 kind of concepts I came up with. All right. So now I also have some more kind of advanced or sci-fi kind of energy or vehicle designs. So these are all things that used any of the other files that I included in the library, but then I spent some time like really playing around and performing a lot of this. So a lot of these things were effects that I performed in some way in real time via Radium or other samplers, or sat down and designed to picture for certain ones of these effects. Some of them have layers, so you can see these 2 at the bottom, undulating, energetic whoosh. These have layers that kind of comprise them. And again, I've labeled which prop is mostly included in each layer. So these are longer, so I don't know if I'll play all of them, but this one's pretty cool. All right. And then one of my favorites is the Freak Sweeper. Okay, and then Shredded Bits. This one's pretty interesting. Really super glitchy. That one in particular, very mechanical, very scissor-like or metal sounding. All right. So that's kind of, again, you can listen to the previews to get a better idea of the overall sonic characteristics of everything. But I do kind of like to do these videos just kind of explaining some of the process and just kind of mentioning interesting features of the library itself. So again, a relatively smaller collection in terms of things that are out there, but something I'm working on as part of a larger project, and I kind of felt like I haven't had a release in a while, and I thought it'd be nice to kind of put some of the cool stuff out that I was working on in the meantime. So that's it. Check out the library if you're interested. These libraries I look at them as a way to support some of the educational videos that I do. So while I primarily focus on that with this channel. If you like what I'm doing and you want to support me, then buying the libraries is like probably the best way to do it. I'd rather do that than charge for the knowledge. I think I'd prefer to give the sound design demos and that sort of thing away at no cost. Any case, I have very much appreciated all of the support this year that I've seen. And everyone, telling me that they enjoy the videos and so forth. So thank you, and hope everyone's having a great end to the crazy year that we've had, as much so as possible. And take care.